Oh, damn, that's good Jameson. All right. On today's podcast, we have my buddy Scott, who is currently trained to become a teacher. During this podcast, we talked about a lot of things revolving around the education systems and how it affects and how we can change it. All right, so let's see what happened. Hey, Scott, thanks for doing this.
Hey, how you doing, Corey?
Pretty good. You?
Doing good.
That's good. So everybody knows, can you tell a little bit about your background in education?
Yeah, so I got started in education when I was a kid, really.
We all did.
High school. That's really what really grabbed me. Art grabbed me the most, and science.
Mm-hmm.
So I started with like clubs, stuff like that, just volunteering on the other end, and I wanted to get even more into it. So the first thing that really grabbed me was the YMCA. I was like 17, like we can help the community out. This is one of the biggest things for me, community and school coming together. So that's like a huge thing for me. Like, I think there should be more programs.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I agree. I mean, we need a lot more programs to get kids, like, doing things.
Yeah. The city is a nightmare. They've taken down all our programs. Like, what do you expect? No wonder they're doing things. Like,
yeah, the crime rate is up, and
right,
that's a whole different podcast over that.
So for me, that was a very smooth graduation from YMCA, and then I learned about the Head Start, which is early education from 3 to 5 year olds, mm-hmm. which is great. So it's exactly what it sounds like, Head Start, before pre-K. And you gotta start these kids early on. Get them the development, as soon as possible. Get them prepared. 75% of students for kindergarten are completely unprepared.
Yeah, I mean,
and the majority of them are held back. Do it again. First grade, second grade.
Oh yeah, I mean, a lot. When I was a substitute teacher in Baltimore County, I've noticed that most of the kids that I was working with in Title I schools, I mean, they're good kids.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, a lot of time, the teachers aren't getting the services to where they can properly teach that, or they're being micromanaged too much with Common Core.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Common Core in concept is a good thing.
Oh, that's a great thing. And actually, I feel like the whole thing is a ghost. So first of all, on the teacher end, everybody's afraid of it. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to be honest, I was afraid of it. Mm-hmm. And then I learned what it was. And I'm like, it seems like a good thing. But how are we going to implement it?
Well, honestly, since I've actually had to implement it back when it first was going in, and just with the math portion of it, it confused the hell out of me.
Oh,
I mean, when they're forcing these third graders to answer 2 plus 2 10 different ways, and really 2 plus 2 is concrete.
Right.
I mean, basic math is concrete stuff. We're not talking about higher algebra where you really need to explain how you got the answer. 2 plus 2 is 4.
Right.
2 times 2 is 4.
It's the same thing as a definition. Define the word grass. It's root memory. That's all it is.
Yeah. I mean, that's what we should be working on with at least up to, 4th or 5th grade?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I mean, you could say strong 4th. 5th graders, that's really where you become independent as a student.
Yeah.
But even them, they still need to rebuild their confidence and finally learn to be that leader. So many 5th graders, they're ready to be leaders. They want to be leaders, but they just don't know how to do it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, especially since they're the top dog in the elementary school. They're about to go into middle school where they're going to be the bottom rung again.
Yeah.
They don't realize it yet.
The whole world is about to be shaken up all over again. Which questions the very structure of school itself. Because, you go back in history a little bit, and there used to be a lot more transition. Middle school is something that we sort of invented.
Yeah.
So, it used to be all kind of one school, and then it was 2 schools, and then it was 3 schools.
Yeah.
So where do we break it off? Is a 6th grader, should they really be with the elementary schoolers? I mean, just look at the size difference of students.
Yeah.
Psychological development. You can go on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's insane. I mean, when I was in elementary and middle school in the city, they had just implemented having middle schools attached to the elementary schools. I'm not too sure if that's a good idea or not, but it did make a smoother transition for me to eventually go into high school.
Right, because you know the students.
Yeah.
Private schools are very good at doing that.
Mm-hmm.
And even though they have wings, I had the privilege of teaching at Beth Tiflo for a while, which is a Jewish school.
Mm-hmm.
And they have, like, kind of an all-in-one package. And their hallway of elementary school is literally next to their middle schoolers. But they're all taught respect, etc. So, like, I feel like as long as you implement the school process itself,
mm-hmm.
it's fine. Like, hey, these are little kids. Your guys are big kids. Don't bother them. They won't bother you. That's just all it is to it.
Plus, the littler kids actually look up to the bigger kids.
Mm-hmm.
And if they see them acting up, it's like they're going to end up acting up. And it's just like...
It's a matter of community. And that's... The community is the biggest part of school. Like, we should know our community. Like, I don't know about... I can't speak for everybody, but a huge, vast majority of my community, I don't even know them.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you look at these, like, old westerns, and even though it's a movie, you know it's true. I know when my mom grew up, she knew everybody. My grandparents, everybody knew everybody back then.
Yeah.
And suddenly, nobody knows anybody.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I can tell it just from living here. I mean, I lived here when I was a little kid, and then I just moved back here. Back when I was a little kid, up until I was like 10 years old, I mean, I essentially lived here, even though I lived with my parents.
Right.
But I knew everybody in this court.
Right.
Now, I maybe know 2 families.
Yeah. When
I used to know, like, 90% of the people here.
And that's the thing. Like, kids and generations is really strange. There was one individual that lived right next to me, and my best friend growing up in the next court over. And all together, I think there were like 4 families, and they all had kids. Everybody else was a huge generation gap. They were like elderly people ready to retire.
Yeah.
And then everybody aged out, moved out, went their separate ways. So now the community, like you said, nobody knows anybody anymore.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, I don't know what else to say on this. I mean, because communities pretty much everywhere has been breaking down. Because, honestly, technology.
Technology is the biggest problem. And I don't want to get too deep on the subject of police officers.
Oh.
But the community needs to know everybody.
Yeah.
And for that to be true, you need to see your daily cop. You need to see your daily sheriff.
Yeah.
Everybody needs to know everybody. And that gets back to the programs and gets back to school.
Mm-hmm.
So this really all comes back to volunteering or working with your school or, setting up programs, a whole bunch of other things.
Yeah, well, it also comes down to taking pride in your community because, honestly, if there's no pride in the community, why would you do all that stuff?
Exactly.
So, I mean, and this also comes down to, like, schools. I mean, if we actually start putting more money into the schools that aren't working into these communities that are, well, failing, it would help build a community around the school. And once you build a community around, like, education, then things are going to start rolling a little bit better because people are going to start learning how to do different things. And it will help just make things a lot better because education is like I can't think of the word for it.
It's kind of the building blocks.
Yeah, let's go building blocks.
And to build on that even more, I don't know if you're familiar with something called the 4-H.
I've heard of it at some...
But 4-H is basically Farmers 101 for kids.
Oh, 4-H, yeah.
Yeah, 4-H, yeah. So it's like Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, but this is for raising animals and let's be farmers, basically.
Yeah.
Baltimore County 4-H is like the worst program you ever see. Like, it should be wonderful. If you went to Maryland State, which is right there, they have their fair every year. It's wonderful. It's great. The Baltimore County one should be the biggest county.
Mm-hmm.
And we have the most farms. But yet, our 4-H is, like, falling.
Yeah.
And it's been falling for very many years. And it's losing money. It's losing all these credentials.
Mm-hmm.
And before you know it, it's not even going to be a thing anymore.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately in this state, farming is not really a big thing. Now, when I was out in Arizona, I had a lot of friends who actually competed in 4-H with, like, actual lassoing and all that nice stuff, and it's insane. I mean, I was in Boy Scouts, I mean, so I didn't go into 4-H. I didn't learn about 4-H until I was, like, 2-3 years ago.
Isn't that the funny thing? Like, me, like, I knew about Boy Scouts. My brother went to Boy Scouts. I didn't know about the YMCA until I was 17. I'm like, goodness gracious, I wish I knew that when I was younger.
Yeah. The only thing I knew about YMCA for a while was the actual song.
I mean, they used to do that's another subject. They used to do everything, and they don't have any outdoors programs anymore.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have any they have no outdoor pools, period. The last one ever existed was over there by Lillington Drive.
Yeah.
To my knowledge. Harford County, they still have a park up there, but that's a different county. You know, it's what happened to what used to make up our community.
Yeah, I mean, all comes down to, like, funding. And unfortunately. Alright, so let's get back to schooling again. What do you think could be made better with the schooling system?
Well, I think the first thing is more development.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, my main focus is definitely the early kids. Elementary, they want to split everything up, which is the weirdest thing now. So it used to be, you know, 1st grade, 6th grade, you're an elementary school teacher. Now they want to teach you 1 to 3rd grade. That doesn't even make any sense to me. But if you're gonna split it up right. Like, I'm going to teach 3 grades. That doesn't even make any sense.
Well, you're trained for 3 grades, but you're only teaching 1.
Yeah.
Unless you're like a special ed teacher, where you actually have like a few different age ranges within.
Or what do you call these people? Paraeducator.
Yeah. That's another thing, special education. I mean, I was in special ed when I was in school for a few years, and it helped me out a lot. Mainly because I was in a self-contained classroom with, like, 2 or 3 different grades in it. I believe it was, like, 3rd, 4th, and 5th, if I can remember right. But that was also in the city. They actually had self-contained classrooms in, I believe, every school.
Yeah.
County, that's a whole clusterfuck right there.
It's a whole thing.
Yeah. I mean, there are so many kids that I have taught while I was a substitute teacher, that need to be in a self-contained classroom. I mean, they have IEPs, they have 504s, and for those people who don't know, these are like... Can you explain?
Yeah, IEP, Individual Education Plan. A 504 is a legal procedure saying, hey, I have the right for something.
Yeah.
There's also a Family Educational Plan for the little guys. That's a little bit less common, a little bit less popular. People don't really know about it. In Head Start, we're trained to force feed this down parents even if they don't need it. Now, some children really do need it. Mm-hmm. And there's like this weird line where you don't know whether or not a child needs it, or if it's developmentally, well, maybe they're just not ready. Are we expecting too much of them?
Mm-hmm.
Is there something wrong with our program? Or where is it that the problem lies? And that's where we need to find out.
True. I mean, honestly, I think there's a lot of things wrong with programs, at least in the county.
The program itself is the problem.
Yeah.
And actually, how you handle that is supposedly even programs. This is not true. City is definitely not equivalent to the county. And anybody that suggested it would be doesn't know the education system.
Yeah.
It should be. Education should be even everywhere. And that includes state, I'm going to say countrywide.
Mm-hmm.
Common Core is a good thing.
Yeah.
However, it's still developed by the states how we use Common Core. So I think it should still be a little bit more Common Core than it already is.
Well, like I said in the beginning, the Common Core in concept is a good thing, but it's being too micromanaged.
It's definitely being too micromanaged.
I mean, what we should really be doing is, like, give goals for the teachers, like a weekly goal. You got to teach these subjects.
Mm-hmm.
How you go about it is up to you, because it's your classroom. It's like this, you shouldn't have to teach every single student 25 different ways to do 2 plus 2.
No.
I mean, it's like...
You're only going to confuse them.
Yeah. I mean, if teach them each student 2 or 3 ways, and whichever works for them, say, use it. Just use it.
Right, and if Billy... no real names are being used here. And if Billy is saying, "Hey, I have this great way to solve this,"
Mm-hmm.
don't shove your fist down their throat.
Yeah.
Because in my personal experience, I was afraid of math growing up.
Mm-hmm.
Math fear. That's a big hot word.
Mm-hmm.
Not only was I afraid to get involved, but the people who are good at it are very hard to deal with. They're not good teachers usually. And if they are good teachers, they're very strict.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just not a good environment for someone who wants to dive into it. Science is very similar in that regard.
Yeah.
But let's talk about math. So my experience with math was a lot of negativity, except for one thing, and that was geometry. Like, I understood geometry.
Mm-hmm.
Later on in my life, in college, which is ironic, I learned that geometry was the root of all math. I didn't know that when I was a kid.
Yeah.
I didn't know that when I was in middle school, and I didn't know that when I was in high school. That would have been nice to know. It would have been nice to know that, all these algebraic equations could be solved with geometry. It's amazing.
Oh,
It's an amazing concept. Triangles can solve 95% of math problems that we know. So why we even need algebra? It begs the question.
I'm not a mathematician. I'm not a math guy, so I really can't answer that. So I don't know. I mean, oh God, what were we talking about? Oh yeah, Common Core.
Yeah, Common Core. What brings me back to that. So what should be on Common Core? Why should it be there? And why is it even important?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, Common Core in concept is a good thing. Making sure the entire country is on the same curriculum at the same time.
Right.
But like I said, it's like being too micromanaged.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And differentiate, a difference should be allowed, but with the teachers, not with the schools.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what allows to say, hey, I like Miss Smith's class, but not Miss Johnson's class.
Mm-hmm.
But everybody's teaching the same material.
Yeah. Right? As long as they're all teaching the same material at the same time, just let the teachers teach how they need to teach it.
They can even teach it at different times, I think. So if you want to teach, this as an example, Black History Month, any other time of the year, just as an example of equality, you should be able to.
Yeah.
I've actually known teachers that have gotten in trouble for teaching outside of the curriculum using Black Lives Matter. That's wrong. You should never get in trouble for teaching, especially if you're using it as an example of education and equality.
Yeah. Oh, damn. So I think we covered that pretty well.
Yeah.
What do you think the schools can do better? I mean,
I think the number one best thing a school can do is actually understand what their purpose is.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if schools actually do. The majority of the time, I see, and probably the majority of the people see, school as 3 things. One, it's food. It's a sad thing to say, but the majority of kids are like homeless and poor, which is terrible.
Yeah.
Like, that's the whole subject on its own.
Yeah, I know.
Second thing is shelter and safety, which should be number 1 priority. And a lot of these kids aren't sheltered, and they're not that safe. When you're talking about things in the media, teachers aren't as safe as they should be. The list goes on. The bus drive. They were just saying this thing about buses. we have no idea who our bus drivers are.
Oh yeah,
That's a terrifying fact.
yeah.
Like,
I mean, there's been multiple accounts, I believe, last school year about a kid being left on the bus.
yeah, and that's the best case bad scenario,
Yeah.
if that makes any sense. You know, as far as bad scenarios go, I'd rather have that go on than any of these other terrible things that happen.
Oh yeah. I mean, yeah, yeah, those two things are big. I mean, we shouldn't be cutting school lunch funding.
Yeah, that should not ever happen anywhere.
Unfortunately, there's really not much we can do in terms of shelter and safety. I mean, except when they're in the school.
They're in the school.
I mean,
they're safe.
I mean, outside of there, we really can't do much.
Right, and they get there safely, and they get home safely.
Yeah.
That's as much as we can do.
Yeah, but in terms of the food thing, it's like we should really be increasing the money for like school lunch programs and school breakfast programs.
Right.
And I've also seen instances where it's like some schools have actually created a food pantry for kids to like take home some food that way.
Yes.
Yeah.
Actually, in the city, it is practiced that they have additional food.
Mhm.
Counties, not so much, unless they have after-school programs, and it's not food per se; it's more like snacks. But anything helps.
Yeah.
That is definitely number like. Equality starts with everybody having the same base. So if everybody's fed, everybody's rested, and everybody is safe, then now we have a base.
Mm-hmm.
Once we have that base, now we can talk about, okay, what are we actually here for?
Mm-hmm.
Other than protecting the kids.
Oh, yeah. Now, one thing I think we could do to help improve the education system is actually do like a self-paced thing for at least mathematics. Because I've been using this program called Khan Academy. Have you heard of it?
I don't think so. Tell me about that.
It's been around for, I think, about a decade now-ish. But it is a free program now. It started off on YouTube with just a guy that's helping out his nephews. And his nephews actually preferred his videos over him actually teaching them. Because they could actually rewind it and not constantly have to call him up.
Oh, those are great.
Yeah. But now, this program has actually been funded by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation.
Oh, that's cool.
And it is a whole structured program. It has, it doesn't just do math, but for math, it goes from, like, pre-K math all the way up to, like, quantum physics.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, it also goes through, like, biology, chemistry, all that nice stuff, some history stuff that they're working on right now. But I've been using it, and I used it back when I was out in Arizona for school. And it really helped me out a lot. Just because I was able to rewind and actually watch the same video over and over again until I got the concept. What I think we should do is actually implement it in schools. In fact, they did a study a few years back, I can't remember, back in like Palo Alto, California, where they took 2 5th grade classrooms and they implemented this program. They identified the so-called slow kids,
right,
and the so-called fast kids,
right,
at the beginning of the year. By the end of the year, by using this program, you either couldn't tell the difference between the slow kids and the fast kids in terms of math, and in fact, a lot of the slow kids were actually ahead of the fast kids,
right,
because they had a more concrete
they had
grasp
a
of the
perspective, right.
Well, they also were able to really grasp the fundamentals of a particular mathematical equation.
Right.
So, honestly, I think we should really implement self-paced mathematics into all classrooms. At least from, like, 3rd grade up, because I really think that the tech should be, like, from 3rd grade up, or even 4th grade up, because, really, when you're in pre-K up to that point, you really should be learning how to write.
Right,
I mean, it's
all about language processing in that case.
I mean, they should be learning basic mathematics.
Right.
But really, because of how this program is, you could really jumpstart mathematics quickly.
I can actually speak to that a little bit, because the first class I had was the 083. So I had to take 081 and 082.
Mm-hmm.
With both, like you said, self-paced.
Yeah.
I finished half the class and couldn't finish it.
Mm-hmm.
Then I was able to start exactly where I stopped and continue.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of taking the whole class over again.
Yeah, I mean, 083, my God. For those who don't know, 083 is a math class at Community College of Baltimore County, and it's probably, outside of, like, calculus and stuff like that, it's probably one of the hardest math classes there is there. And, honestly, I've taken that thing 4 times.
Yeah. Here we are, educated people.
Yeah.
I actually recall asking a buddy for help who is very good at math, and he had to break down, look at the book for like a week or two, and like, okay, no, now I remember how to do this. Maybe I can show you. But as I stated before, people with math usually not good teachers, and there's actually a reason for that. I learned this too. A lot of math teachers aren't teachers; they're math professionals who have a master's degree who are teaching. So I believe a lot of those people should be going back to school and learn teaching theory a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, that's how it is with a lot of teachers nowadays. You just have to have a degree.
You just have to have a master's degree and you can be a teacher.
Well, in some cases, even a bachelor's.
Bachelor's degree, you're correct.
I mean, it's sad state with teachers that we have to resort to this, because
sometimes it's the best way to go about it, too.
Yeah.
Because being a teacher degree is so difficult that by the time you're done, you're like, I could have been teaching already.
Yeah.
And then you laugh at yourself.
Yeah, I mean, really, teachers need to be appreciated more. I mean, I think we're probably the only country in the world, well, one of the only countries in the world that really doesn't appreciate their teachers.
No, I can agree with that completely. And to step on what we already stated, I feel like, the thing that would help teachers the most is implementing more of stuff they've already done. One thing is interns. I feel like if we just dove in and rode with the teacher, instead of 1 year, 2 years, or whatever it's supposed to be, have us just be interns.
Mm-hmm.
Have us that be our training. Instead of going to school.
Well, I would say at least do like
2-year
2-year program.
2-year program.
And then it's like,
I fully agree with you.
For the internship, you do like, no matter what, every intern should have to do a full year in a special education classroom.
Right, and if I have real life experience, that should count for something.
Yeah.
I mean, myself, I've been working for 5 years with this or that or the other thing in education. So how come that doesn't count for anything?
Yeah, I know, and it's just, yeah, I don't know. It's a pain in the ass, really.
Yeah.
I mean, it's one of the main reasons why, I mean, for a long time, I was thinking about becoming a teacher. And then I started working in the school system, and it's
you're
like,
this is...
it's a... I mean, I was good at it. I mean, a lot of the teachers that I subbed for wanted me to come back on a regular basis. It's like, and I did for a while, but I didn't like where the school system was going.
Right.
So
a lot of people have dropped out, did something else. My sister did the same thing. She became a guidance counselor instead. Similar prospects. But we need teachers.
Yeah. See, that's why I'm trying to go into this, to spread ideas this way. I mean, it's like, for one thing, if I were a teacher, I wouldn't want to be able to teach my way. I mean, go ahead, tell me what I have to teach, but let me teach it my way.
Right, exactly.
I mean, don't tell me I have to teach a kid 50 different ways to do 1 + 1.
Yeah, I can speak to that a little bit, too. I actually had success, and I am not a mathematician, like you said, but I understand math. I can get more about that later. But, so I'm teaching this kid, our way. Us, some 30-year-old kids' way. The way we learned, when we learned it. She learned it in about 1 day.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the only thing I told her is, don't get fixated on what I just showed you.
Mm-hmm.
Remember it. Use it as a tool.
Yeah.
Try to learn it your teacher's way. Respect your teacher.
Mm-hmm.
But if you need it, there it is. I mean, she learned it so well, I'm sure she's using it.
Yeah.
But the only thing I know from that root memory way of learning it, it's not always the best way.
Yeah, I mean, every kid's different.
As soon as you see a test and you don't see that thing that you root memorized, you're going to get stuck. And I know that's the number one problem I always had. I memorized 4 plus 4 equaled 8. But nobody ever told me that 5 plus 5 equaled 10.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm stuck. Because I don't understand the concept of what I just did. Instead, I just memorized.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes down to concepts, I mean, I agree that you should know the concept of it. But really, I don't think you should really start learning the concepts until, like, maybe 4th grade.
Yeah. And that begs the question, like you said, these tests that we are doing need to be started at the same age. And I completely agree with you.
Well, we actually talked about it before the podcast, but we can actually get into that now. But yeah, I mean, when it comes down to testing, kids are tested way too damn much.
Right.
I mean, I've administered some tests, and it's like, I'm looking at the questions, it's like, why? Why?
I don't think I would do well on this test.
No. And we're almost 30. Well, I'm almost 30. You're, what, 30
as well.
Yeah. Well, I'm not 30 till next year.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
We're all old.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at these tests, it's like, I'm not sure. I mean, I'm sure I could probably pass it, but not well. It's like,
they give me a week to study it, maybe.
No, just with the concepts.
Yeah.
It's like, explain how you got this. It's like, I would just put down the most bullshit answer. It's easy. 2 plus 2 equals 4. 2 plus 2 equals 4. 2 plus 2 equals 4. That is how I got the damn answer. It's just...
They want you to devolve it, break it down, and be like, okay, so since 4 minus 2 equals 2, therefore 2 plus 2 equals 4, and therefore rotational math, etc., etc.
It just hurts my brain. But really, I mean, I think we should really just get rid of testing, but I understand that we need to put statistics on everything.
Right, we need to evaluate our teachers, and we need to evaluate our students.
Yeah,
however, the evaluation for teachers is based off your students, which is, 1, maybe unfair, and 2, just not right to do. Because 1, it's going to push our teachers to feed our students answers. We're getting ourselves false information. False news, fake news. And I'm only going to laugh about that a little bit, but it's true, because if you want to give a real honest answer, this is what you do. Blind test. For the teacher, not for the students. And by you do that, you sit in someone's class, like, hey, I'm observing for the day. Nobody knows who you are. People do that anyway. Many teachers do that. Many principals do that. Nurses, etc. So many people are in their classroom at any given day. They would never know. So you evaluate them. How are you actually teaching? And that is one of the first things you could do. Let's evaluate our teachers, not the students, the teachers.
Well, here's the thing with that. I mean, when you have an outside person in the school, it actually changes how you teach.
Right.
Personally, I wouldn't have a problem with having a camera in this. But that goes into the privacy issue. But here's the thing. You're on public grounds, technically. So really, it's like every room except for the bathroom could be monitored.
Yeah, right. The nurse's room.
Well, the nurse's room, I'd say no. I'd say who goes in and who goes out.
Yeah,
because that involves medical stuff, and it's like you can't.
That's medical privacy.
Yeah, I mean, but inside the classroom, I believe you should be able to have a small little camera. Just keep an eye. It's like that way. If something happens, it's like, oh, Billy hit Jenny, not Jenny hit Billy.
Right.
It's like, okay, see, Mom? This is what happened. Don't blame the teacher.
To some degree, I agree with you. But it gets on a very interesting path of how are we going to handle this? And there are classes that are revolutionizing a very similar idea. They are filming their classes as doing it. And they have student participation. Of course, they have pre-releases, etc. Anybody
Yeah.
who doesn't have the release can't be there.
Yeah.
What do we do with those parents, and what do we do with those students?
Yeah, it's a complicated issue. I mean, this is just an idea that I had.
Yeah.
But, oh my god.
I think as the world becomes more technologically advanced,
eventually it will
it'll
become.
just kind of just happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But back to like the testing for like the students, I believe right now we should just cut it down to 2 tests per year, starting at like 3rd or 4th grade.
Right.
One at the beginning just to measure how much they know, and one at the end to see how much they've learned throughout the year. That way we can...
Especially that group.
Mhm.
High schoolers, they need their exit tickets, and then, like you said.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's a whole complicated freaking issue. But we really just need to start, like, taking away all these restrictions on teachers and to, like, really start trying to streamline everything, because our education system is based off something that was developed in the 1400s.
Right.
I mean, I'm not even joking with this. I just learned about this. And it's just not right. I mean, especially in this day and age. I mean, it was fine since we were originally brought in our school system to help, essentially as a babysitting program.
That's effectively what I was going with.
Yeah, it was essentially brought in as a babysitting program for, like, immigrant families and Native American, well, as in people born in America, to pretty much learn what their families are about to go into, which was, at the time, factories. That's why you have the bells. That's why you have everybody in rows.
Right.
Just to get them used to that format. That
Right.
way they could go into, like, an industrial setting and, like, build things. That's not how things are today. I mean, we've lost most manufacturing in this country.
Right, exactly.
So,
So
really,
let's change the psychology a little bit.
yeah, we need to start changing it up. We need to start going to, like, self-paced thing with math. We need to start looking to what other countries are doing, because I know in Scandinavian countries they've started doing stuff like that, and they're now regularly within either the top 5 or the top 10 schools in the world, and we're ranked, what, 27th?
This is terrible, because we spend more money on education than anybody else does.
Yeah.
So explain that one to me.
I can't. I mean, goddamn. I mean, I know privatization is not the way to go, because...
Well, it's already an issue, but it should exist. Just as, hey, go to a private school.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it creates this illusion that private schools are better, which is not actually true.
Yeah.
And that's something I recently learned.
Mhm.
I always had the impression that these private school kids had a leg up in life, all this stuff. It's not necessarily true. Yes, the majority of them have a little bit more enriching environment. The majority, there's a good non-majority of them that aren't actually getting a better education for their money.
Yeah, no. I mean, I think I went to a private school. I went to Curley. I think the only real... I mean, Curley is an amazing school, don't get me wrong. I love that place. And I got an amazing education there. But the real advantage of private schools over public schools is actually getting to know people.
Right.
Because the parents that are sending their kids there have a little bit of money. Granted, I had to get scholarships to go there, so it's like, yeah. But a lot of my friends' parents, it's like, these people own construction companies. They were lawyers. And it's like, you get to know people so you can
Right.
actually expand your social network.
Right.
I mean, you can do that to an extent with public schools, but you're not getting, like, these people who are, like, really, like, leaders of their, like, industries. Now, I think that's really the only real advantage of private over public. Yeah.
I agree with that. And I feel like there should be some type of equal playing field with that, too. Like, it's like you start out in the beginning of your life and everybody has a runway. Just like a racetrack. You're in lane 1,
Mhm.
they're in lane 10, but for some reason lane 10 is half the distance of lane 1. So you're like, wait a minute.
Yeah. But yeah, I get what you're saying, but how do we do that? I have no freaking clue.
And that is the very essence of it anyway. Like Harvard, everyone knows if you want to be a lawyer, that's where you go.
Yeah.
It's only been more recently established that other colleges are just as good.
Yeah.
Relatively recent.
Yeah, but once you see that degree, Harvard law degree, it's like, ooh, I'm hiring this fucker. Even though a guy from University of Maryland Law School
or
could be 10 times better.
Right.
I mean, it's all about that name prestige.
It's almost as if we need to erase the idea of the name and let's look at their resume. And then find out later, oh, wow, they're from Harvard. Like a surprise. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know how to fix it.
Well, I don't know either, but it's a whole insane thing. Now, I mean, I think we've done a good job on like elementary, middle, high school type reform type stuff. I mean, what do you think about college?
College is a mess.
Yeah.
Let me back that up. Community college is a mess. I would like to know a little bit more about real college before I speak about that.
Well, I mean, I can speak to a little bit about real college since I went there out in Arizona at Northern Arizona University. I mean, the only real difference is the classes are a little bit harder.
Yeah, that's my assumption.
But one thing I've also learned with community college, the teachers actually spend more time with you.
Yeah.
I mean, because a lot of times when you're going to these big colleges, the professors have to take care of their research and all that nice crap. But the one thing I would have to say between community college and regular college is the accreditation thing. It's like, I mean, the accreditation thing is fine for all the colleges. It's just transferring credits, I mean.
Right. That's terrible.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sorry.
Get with the program, guys.
A communication class is a communication class.
Right.
I mean, at least within the basic levels.
Right.
I mean, really, we should really just streamline all that. It's like, oh, Math 101, Math 101. All right, done.
I had to take 3 theater classes because reasons.
Oh, God. Yeah, it's a whole bunch of bullshit.
Don't even want to get into it. Like, it's like, what, why? Reasons. That's all I gotta say. And then you want to do something specialty. I have an AAT, which is these specific classes. Mm-hmm. And then when you transfer, you got to make sure these specific classes are transferring, which sometimes they don't.
Yeah, I know. I mean, it's stupid. I mean, I was thinking about transferring to Towson this year, but I decided against it because, for one thing, I am close to $30,000 in debt, and I can't afford any more debt.
No more debt.
Yeah, no more debt. But so, I mean, I'm focusing on getting rid of all that. I don't know if I'm going to go back or not. I mean, if this really takes off, I'll probably just stick with this.
Coming back to my analogy, starting in lane 1, 5, then 10. Correction, we're not only is their lane half the distance, ours is elongated. Because we're starting out, like you said, $30,000. That's chump change, no offense. $50,000, $70,000. I mean, the average is astronomical. The amount of debt that students owe is more than any major business you can name.
I know, and it's like, I mean, really, I don't have a problem with having to pay for college a little bit, okay? But really, the cost needs to be brought down.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, the fact that there's
cost-effective costs.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
I mean, $10,000 a year to go to college is actually not horrible.
Right.
But here's the thing: if you want to go out of state, that price triples
for reasons.
Yeah, I mean, really, we're all fucking Americans here.
Right.
It's like, really, there should just be one cost for like American students, and if if an international student wants to come in, go ahead, charge them a little. It's like, go ahead.
Right.
I mean, no offense to all the other countries, but most of the time you have free college, so you have nothing to.
So why are you even coming here? You have better.
Well, a lot of times they're coming here because we actually have better programs.
Yeah.
At least within medical field, engineering.
A lot of things.
A lot of things. We have the better programs, but they have free college. I mean, but also when it comes down to student loans, One, we should be allowed to declare bankruptcy with them.
That is one thing.
And two, if a business can get a 0% loan, so should students, because for one thing,
It's the same idea, effectively.
You're
It's a
investing
business.
in the future.
Right. It's a business. That's all it is.
Yeah, I mean, my student loan grew so far over the past 2 years has grown from $10,000 to $11,000.
Right.
I mean,
And what it really tells you is it says don't graduate, because it says, hey, you'll have no interest at all. Oh wait, you graduated.
No. You accumulate interest while you are in college. You just don't have to pay it back
Right.
until
Well, you
6
just don't
months
have to pay it,
afterwards.
right.
Which reminds me, I'm gonna have to start paying that back soon. Oh God, that's an extra $200 a month.
Maybe they should add, student loans. Maybe that should be a thing. There's no interest at all until you graduate. Or I don't know. I don't know how you fix that either.
Well, even if you did do interest, it shouldn't be 10, 12.
No.
I mean, at most, it should be 5% interest.
Right.
Because, like I said, you're investing into the future.
Right.
I mean, you don't want a doctor focusing on just doing as much as they can when they could be focusing on saving your fucking life.
Right, exactly.
I mean, most doctors graduate from med school $200,000 in debt, and that's low end.
That's low end. You're correct. 100% right.
I mean, really, if you want to really make strides in the medical field, let them do their work.
Right.
Especially when it comes to doctors.
That's just school.
Yeah.
Now you have to deal with insurance.
Oh,
What
yeah.
they pay for insurance is astronomical.
Yeah, I mean, I was talking with one of my doctor friends, and it's like, he's had to close a practice just because he couldn't afford the malpractice insurance. It's like, and then he's still paying off student loans from 20 years ago.
And what about accountability? I always think about that word anytime I think about work. And people are not being held accountable. So if, in Switzerland, I believe it was, or somewhere over there in Europe, if a medical doctor does not have a reasonable diagnosis for you, you don't pay them anything.
Mm-hmm.
As in, they didn't do the work, you don't pay them. Amazing concept.
Yeah, I know. It's just...
And I mean reasonable diagnosis, like something I can actually work with here.
Yeah. I mean, medical stuff is medical care is a whole...
It's a whole ball of wax.
Yeah, it's just... I mean, which reminds me, I need to freaking reapply for Obamacare. Because I was like, mine's about to run out again.
Yeah, and that thing is getting messed up too, because this insurance is closing. Everybody's turning into somebody else. And it's just a big nightmare.
See, that's why I'm kind of glad I live in Maryland, even though I really want to move out of this state.
Yeah.
Because none of our insurance companies are closing, at least none that I know of.
Maryland is one of the best right now.
Yeah, I mean, we have the best hospitals in the world with Johns Hopkins, Union Memorial.
Right. We really do.
And it's just, here is where if you get shot, you're not going to die, most likely. And we have a lot of people get shot in this state.
Now, if you're in Chicago...
Well, here's the thing. Even with Chicago, we actually still have a higher per capita murder rate. They may have more murders, but we have a higher per capita. So it's like, we're actually more dangerous than Chicago.
This is hilarious. And Pittsburgh, by the way, I believe, if I'm correct about that.
Yeah, I mean, Chicago's what, 3-4 million people?
Yeah.
And we're what, 600,000?
Yeah, I think that's lowballing it, but yeah. That's
lowballing a little bit, but I know for a fact we're nowhere near 1 million.
Yeah,
in the city.
We're not that much.
Yeah, but that's a whole can of worms that I don't feel like getting into right now because it's just.
Yeah, the only thing I even want to touch on that subject is getting back to schools, because with all those people, a lot of these people are going to like 4 schools that are good, and all the other ones are terrible.
Yeah, I mean, The
Like,
schools that
all
are
of
good.
them.
Let's see. What are the schools that are good in the city that I can think of right now? Poly City.
Yeah. Everyone says
Western.
Poly, yeah.
Actually, yeah, Poly City Western. Because
Yeah.
the rest I can think of are all private schools.
Oh,
Gilman is
yeah.
in the city, but that's a private school.
And if they're not private, they're what's called lottery schools. which
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not against and I'm not pro. I don't think it should be based off of lottery. I believe it should be based off of merits
Also community. I mean,
and community.
for high schools, yeah, go ahead and have, like, the magnet programs.
Right. But
Because,
someone who actually earned it and not
Yeah.
divulged some dice.
yeah, it's like someone who's earned it, like you said. Roland Park.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the only, that's a lottery school, too.
Yeah.
Kinda. Oh, damn. Yeah, I mean, out of the public schools, yeah, there's only 3 I can think of.
That's it.
Yeah.
The
And
rest aren't worth talking about.
and Poly and Western are connected to each other. Literally. Oh, damn.
And it's kind of interesting when you talk about education. Most people don't even think the word city. They just automatically assume you're talking about the county, and more specifically, Montgomery County.
Yeah. I mean, in terms of, like, Baltimore County schools, the one off the top of my head is Eastern Tech.
Eastern Tech, right? That's
And that's mostly merit-based.
mostly merit based. Perry Hall supposedly has a really good program.
I don't know. For a while, they were...
They have a music based. See, they're half and half, and so are most of all the other schools.
Yeah.
Even what's that school?
Parkville, Overly...
It's one of the art schools.
Oh, shit. I don't know any of them.
But anyway. But yeah,
Yeah.
there are definitely a lot of this 50-50s.
Mhm.
We're a community, and there's also a magnet attached to us.
Yeah.
Those are good, because realistically we have a lot of kids.
Yeah.
So we need the space. I went to Carver, George Washington Carver, which is 100% magnet.
Mhm.
If you don't get in, you're not there.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, as long as it's merit-based, I'm down with that.
Yes, and it's completely merit-based. They expect you to grind and work hard.
Mhm.
If you're not working, you're out. The graduation rate was something like 100 kids out of 500.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that was pretty much the same for Curly. I mean,
Yeah.
When I started my freshman year, we had about 160-ish kids.
Yeah,
By the time I graduated, it was under 100.
yeah, definitely. And
Yeah.
that was considered a big class for us. Like, the average was 50-something.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, yeah.
Every school could be that way. And
Yeah.
let's talk about numbers. If 10% of the students could be in a school like that, what are you doing with 90% of your kids?
Yeah, I know. I mean, it comes down to, like, the community thing again.
It comes down.
We need to have these communities, like, rally around their schools. And one good way to do that is actually increase the arts programs, like art, music, and all that nice stuff. I mean, at the same time, increase the science programs, because I believe that is the future. Because, actually, no, that is literally the future.
Right, exactly.
But,
And we used to have principles on science. I don't know what happened to those.
yeah.
But it seems like we were talking about industry before.
Mhm.
Everything got lost in making things, progressing things, looking at things in a better way. Where's my flying car?
Yeah. I want my flying car!
I want my hoverboards. I want my time machines. I'm coming, guys. What are you doing?
Hey, I'm talking about actual hoverboards, like from Back to the Future.
Back to
Not
the
these
Future.
little rolly things. Those are still connected to the ground.
Yeah.
I want something that it lifts me up at
And
least 2 feet.
Nothing that catches on fire. No injuries. Come on, guys.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Yeah. Which is why we need to bring science into schools.
And these are the same people that laugh at you when you don't know about math. I don't know about math. I'm pretty sure you don't either.
Yeah. I mean, unless you are a legit mathematician, it's like, shut the fuck up.
Or, you know what? Where's my hoverboard?
Yeah,
If you're not producing me a hoverboard, you can't laugh at me.
Exactly.
Just saying.
A hoverboard or a flying car? I'm talking one from the Jetsons, because most people are saying flying cars are helicopters. No, they are not. I want something from the Jetsons.
If it's not just like, and it doesn't have cool hovering noises like wom 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 wom, it has to have it.
Yeah, I know.
It has to be installed. Even if it has no sound at all, just install it.
Oh, God, yeah. Yes. Every car should have the sound.
Where are our tubes that take us to work like a GIF? I don't know. It sounds a little dangerous. Just saying.
I could go with that. Yeah, it's like, all right.
Like a giant slide every day to work.
Well, I hear they have them at like Amazon. Oh, no, not Amazon. Google.
Google
has
I've
like
heard
slides
things-
going everywhere.
I've
Ball
heard things
pits,
about Google.
Nerf gun battles.
They have nap time. Come on.
Oh, nap time. What is naps? In fact, what is sleep?
What is this thing you speak
I mean,
of?
goddamn, I work overnights. I don't know what sleep is.
Man, you're borderline. What are those people that live all the way up there in the North Hemisphere? Alaska.
Oh, right in the Arctic Circle?
Yeah.
That's like 24 hours a day, 24 hours a night. You don't know what time it is.
Ever.
Oh my God, I'm going insane. Where's my alcohol? Oh,
That
right
begs-
there.
That begs the question. I wonder how they deal with school and something like that. Like, I would love to do research on Alaska schools. Or, you know,
Honestly, I don't think there's any schools in the Arctic Circle. I think most of their schools are like Nome and downward, Nome is like right below the Arctic Circle, but I think the most they get is like 22 hours a day.
Yeah.
Or 22 hours a
It's not
night.
as crazy.
It's not as crazy, but they still get sunlight.
The only
I don't
research
know.
I know at all is to keep people from going completely bonkers. They use blue light, which is really fascinating to me.
They use blue light.
But, yeah. So, like, apparently, scientists did some research, and blue light calms you down.
Oh, okay.
So, like, natural light. It's the same light as if you're seeing from the day. It's natural daylight.
Yeah, they just like tint the windows blue or something.
Yeah, basically.
Huh.
Yeah.
I might have to do that because I need to sleep.
And apparently, it slows down your processes, and it does all kinds of stuff. Like, it decreases your depression, mood, all this other stuff. They use the same strategy in daycare.
Huh.
If you walk into the daycare, your walls are blue.
Okay, well, I mean, I knew that blue calmed me down, but I didn't know that they actually, like, tinted windows or something like that.
Not the windows, but just the walls.
Just the walls?
They have never gotten so far to windows, but we could extend this process more.
Huh.
Like, let's think about psychology meets biology. What biological processes could help our psychology?
Yeah.
So many things.
And what psychological processes could help our biology?
Right.
Just by thinking better.
Right.
I mean, yeah.
Which brings you to a very important thing when it comes to communities meet schools is how do we move forward with telling what's right, what's wrong, I hate this word, but what is normal or what is expected? Bullying is a big thing.
Oh, yeah.
There's so many issues right now with everything. My head feels like it's spinning. I don't even know where my compass lies half the time. How am I supposed to teach kids where their compass should be?
Yeah, because at one point you want them to defend themselves, but, I mean, non-violently, of course. Like, stand up for themselves. At the same time, if things get violent, it's a whole complicated issue, because...
There's only one way to stop somebody from punching you.
Yeah, I mean...
Please stop is not going to work.
Yeah.
Sorry, Dora the Explorer, but, you know.
Yeah,
it's not going to work.
I mean, I'm against violence in all shapes and forms, but at the same time, sometimes you need to punch a bitch.
I don't remember the guy's name, but he said something to the effect of, and I'm not even saying the quote right, but like violence is absolutely necessary in order to create a difference. One of the great minds said that, and like King taking over our nation, I'm pretty sure that's violence necessary. You know, Nazis taking over Germany, pretty sure violence was necessary.
Yeah, violence was definitely necessary in that situation just to stop them.
So you have to know
When
internally when is it absolutely necessary.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, that's where martial arts is coming handy
Oh,
for
yeah.
me. I mean, I absolutely love it. I mean, I'm about a year and a half away from earning my black belt.
I think martial arts and the studies of even if it's not the physical art, the study of martial arts should be taught to everybody. That should just be a thing.
No, honestly, with my thing, you need to complement the mental with the physical.
Yeah.
Honestly, there's something about just like learning the forms.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, honestly, even if you're just teaching them Tai Chi.
Tai Chi, right.
Or yoga.
Yoga. They've had, interestingly enough, there has been yoga practices. It's not
Yeah.
strongly developed right now.
Yeah, I heard
With-
something about that in the city. It's
Yeah,
like
with
one
the
or two
city,
schools.
elementary schools, and they're calming down. They're
Yeah.
learning how to motivate themselves. They're learning how to look at myself. What's going on with me?
Mhm.
Why do I know I'm mad? Or am I mad? So many children, especially young kids, they just act.
Yeah. They're impulsive. They don't know how to control themselves just yet.
Right.
And yeah, I mean, honestly, just having like something physical at the beginning of the day probably would help a lot in these schools.
Oh, strongly. Like, why? I think we should have more sports, more action, more physical learning. We take away recess, so we should replace that with something.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, a lot of places have taken away recess. I mean, that or they've reduced it down to it where it's almost nothing. I'm sorry, 10 minutes is nothing.
No.
I mean, I remember when I was in school, we got at least a half hour.
Had to be in half an hour.
Yeah. I mean, even if you just had the entire school at the beginning of the day do like a half hour like yoga routine or Tai Chi or something.
What is a great thing about many private schools, I'm not speaking for all of them, especially on other continents though, is they all start the morning with exercise.
Yeah, I've noticed that at least with Asian schools.
They have a military-esque training style in the morning. They all do push-ups. They all are working out, get tired, and now we're ready to learn.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, one thing I've actually noticed is, like, I actually learn better either before or after a workout.
Right.
I mean, a lot of times what I'll do is, like, I'll put on a podcast while I'm working out, and I'll actually remember all the subject matter better because I'm working out.
It's amazing how, your brain... Your body affects your brain, and your brain affects your body equilaterally.
Yeah.
So, if you're so frantic and your energy is too high, strong, then your brain's going to be like, dude, chill pill.
Yeah, I mean...
Yeah.
I mean...
And depression is a major thing,
Mm,
which is the counter point of this. So not just let's get our kids tired, but so many people are depressed or sad or all these
Yeah.
other things. Exercise is the number one best rated thing for healing someone who's depressed.
yeah, because it releases, like... I can't remember the exact chemicals in the brain, but...
Right.
It makes you feel happy. Plus, you're out. In a lot of cases, you're outside.
Which is one more thing that you could add, like more naturalistic. Like they're so against that. Like, hey, we're learning biology.
Give them a pill.
Should we learn biology? I don't know. And the environment? Seems like it would work.
Yeah, I mean,
Or let's learn physics, I don't know, on a slide. Or where physics happens.
yeah, I mean, I can speak from personal experience in terms of depression because a few years ago I got hit in the head in a martial arts tournament.
Right.
I was gone for a while, and I was pretty much inside for a while unless I was going to work, and
It kind of does things to you.
it does do things to you, and I was not. I mean, I did start going outside after a while, and it did help a little bit. But I was gone for about a good year and a half. It's one of the main reasons why I went out to Arizona because I needed a complete change of scenery.
I just need to be
away from everything.
To quote, what's that movie? With Jack Nicholson and the crazy people.
Shining?
Yeah, Shining. To quote The Shining, all playing, however that goes.
Oh yeah, all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy.
Yeah. I'm cooped up. I'm working all the time. I'm gonna be killing some people. Just saying.
Yeah, it's insane.
It's just a perfect analogy because you can't be tied up all that time.
Yeah.
You just can't. It's not good. Which brings to mind doctors, which they work 4 days and then they're off. And firefighters are very similar.
Yeah.
Should we implement something better for them?
Well, that's a tough one. At least when it comes to firefighters.
Yeah, firefighters.
I mean, because for the most part, it's they're in their I'm just gonna say barrack, the fire station, until they're called.
Yeah.
I mean, so a 24-hour shift is really nothing for them.
Right. It's not as hard as it seems.
I mean, unless something's happening, which, well, granted, in this city it happens a lot, but it's in a lot of cases, it's they're asleep, they're hanging out until a call happens.
They're not working the whole time. Right?
Yeah, well, they are, but they aren't.
Right.
It's a lot of times they'll do some trainings and stuff like that. But a lot of times it's they're hanging out.
Right.
It's they're resting before they have to go and save someone's life.
Now, a doctor, on the other hand, they're balls to the wall and they might be falling asleep on the surgery night from the saying.
Yeah, I mean,
I hope not. Just saying.
I want my doctor fully awake and not jittery on caffeine.
Yeah, no caffeine.
No shaky hand while cutting me open. Oh god damn!
And that this all comes back to you need rest.
Yeah,
the students need rest. A lot of these students they're so stressed out all day, and then you want them to take a test on top of all the work they already have to do anyway. So if we're going to make this test so important, then why don't we cut out the workload so they can take the test? One or the other. We can't have all of this stuff on their shoulders.
Yeah, I know. I mean, honestly, like I said, I think we should cut down on the amount of tests. One at the beginning, one at the end of the year. That's it.
That's it.
That way we can monitor. And honestly, I think schools should be year-round.
I have a very strong opinion about that, too. Let's have every day except for one day. They can have 1 day of rest. And this would fix some things. Because the 1 day of rest thing is a very good thing. And, farmers do it. Any thing you can think of that works 24/7, they all have this 1 day of rest. And not getting religious, it just makes scientific sense too.
Yeah.
If you're farming, there's a rule, 10% of your land, don't farm it. It just makes sense to have that, okay, we're going to cleanse today, not do any work today. I think everyone should have that, really.
Yeah, but when it comes down to school, it's I believe you should have the weekend off, Saturday and Sunday.
Right.
But what I'm saying is, a
summer,
year.
right.
It's really, I mean, you have summer learning loss. I
Right.
think that's what it's called.
Yeah.
Okay. 3 months, it's you're
That's a
losing
long
a
time.
lot. I mean, you really don't need 3 months off.
Not really.
I mean, every couple weeks.
Give them 2 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, what we could do is take summer vacation and just break it up throughout the year.
Right.
It's I'd say for the summer, give them a solid 3 weeks off.
That's actually a really good idea.
and that way you have like a good time for like vacations, stuff like that, and it makes sense. I mean, for one thing, they gotta learn that in the real world, unless you're a teacher, you're not gonna get that 3 months off.
No.
Yeah.
And truth be told, most teachers are probably working during the summer. Anyway.
Oh yeah, I know. I mean, most of the teachers that I know have a second job as a bartender, and honestly, most of the teachers I know can also drink my ass under the table. I mean, I'm not calling alcoholics, but I'm just saying they need to decompress
somehow,
and a lot of times they do drink. They do not drink while they're at work. I am making that point clear.
Soccer is my other job. Like I referee. I've been wanting to get into coaching, which is not straightforward anyway.
Yeah, but
which is one of my huge pet peeves. The more I get older, the more I realize you don't really know how to do anything.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm like, wait a minute, I don't know how to do my taxes. How come I didn't ever learn how to do that in school?
Yeah, it's like
instead of learning, I don't know, the Pythagorean theory, why don't we learn something that's
practical skills?
Yeah, practical skills.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't learn how to. Well, granted, nobody uses really checks anymore.
No,
but you get what I'm saying with that. It's like I didn't learn how to.
I don't know how to write a check. I don't know how to write a letter.
Well, actually, that's one thing I did learn. I actually did learn how to write a letter.
Well, you said private school, yeah.
No. I learned that while I was in elementary school.
Oh, there you go.
In public school.
There you go.
Because I was in public school from kindergarten all the way up through 8th grade. Then I went to Curley.
Got ya.
But I learned how to write a letter because of a pen pal system that we did.
I vaguely remember that pen pal system. But I lost a lot of it because of my personal experience with, education.
Yeah, well, I mean, my parents really kept it up with me a little bit. I learned how to write a check for my grandfather, and my mom.
I still ask my mom, like, what's the best way to address this? Dear? No, it seems too formal. Or, like, where's the comma? Where's the semicolon?
See, whenever I write a letter, unless it's to someone really important, I write, "Dear motherfucker, I hate you." By the way, how are you doing today? Yeah, I mean, granted, I don't write that many letters. In fact, I think the last letter I wrote was... Actually, I can't remember the last letter I wrote.
Yeah, that's the thing of the past.
Yeah, but the same thing, it's like, people need to learn how to write proper emails at least.
Right. Oh, well, that's a huge pet peeve of a lot of people.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's anybody who's really broken down, wait, how do you write a proper email?
Yeah, I mean...
to be honest, I don't think I could. I don't really know.
I mean, I've tried to put it in letter format. I've tried to put it into, like, "Hi, motherfucker, how you doing?" format. And it's just like, I don't know. It's
Nothing
like,
ever seems right.
It's like, if the more, like, professional the person, the more professional I'll get. That's what I think.
Yeah.
But back to, like, learning this type of stuff in school. But, yeah. Kids should learn how to write an email. They should learn how to... I'm not too sure on the check anymore. Because that's starting to be phased out.
It's phased out.
Well, I mean, it's not completely phased out, but I have a feeling that within the next, 20 years, we're not going to have a need for checks anymore.
Right. Whatever the current system of this is how you deal with money is at that time.
Basic finance and budgeting. How's that?
There you go.
Yeah, kids should learn that. I mean...
Especially the budgeting part. You can't emphasize that enough.
Yeah.
We all earn money, because that's in our regular, regular programming after these messages. But not at the same time, also not. So many people don't understand money versus, this is how a system of money works.
Yeah.
That's a whole different process.
Yeah, that's a whole... Yeah.
I mean, bartering, for one example, is something that I guarantee you, talk to 10 people, maybe one person can explain to you what bartering is.
Yeah, I mean, I know what it is. I mean, but we don't really use that anymore unless you're in, a third world country.
Right.
Yeah.
Third world country and big executives. That's it.
big executives.
Yeah, so you don't. It's not as equal as I give you a horse, you give me a boat. It's more like I give you a note of money, you give me a horse, I give you a boat.
Okay.
So there's one more step before the bartering happens. Basically, that's all it is.
Okay. I think I get what you're saying. All right. Let's take it back to school. I think another thing that they should really be learning is like bring back home ec.
Right, bring back all of that stuff.
Yeah, I mean,
bring back. If I were to take my GED right now,
mm-hmm.
all they teach you is everything we're learning, which is ironic, because if you failed school, then we're going to teach you all this home usefulness stuff.
Yeah.
But wait, how come we never learned that if you did well in school? So why are there... and then they say anybody who has a GED doesn't have a real education. But in my mind, they have a better education because they did learn the practical things.
Honestly, most of the smartest people I've known have a GED.
Right.
Honestly, my uncle, extraordinarily smart, has a GED. I mean, most people who have a GED, it's like they learn differently.
Right.
It's like school is boring for them. At least I know it was for my uncle.
Right.
And really, just okay, let me do my own thing.
I feel like we should almost implement a GED as alternative. Like, I may have actually gone for it myself if I knew it was more viable.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like, let's just make it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, everybody loves Harvard because we sell it, just like McDonald's.
Yeah.
It's just another advertisement.
Yeah, they have a good hype man.
Same thing is true with a diploma. Not knocking a diploma,
mm-hmm.
but a GED should be equivalent, and it's not.
Yeah, I mean, it's insane. But, yeah, I mean, I didn't know you had to learn, like, that type of stuff for a GED since I have my diploma.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of people aren't familiar with the GED program.
Yeah.
A lot of them lean towards, and especially in the past. Now, how it works, I couldn't tell you for sure, but definitely the past is a lot more technical stuff.
Mm-hmm.
They used to have, SOP. They don't call it SOP anymore, but, tech class.
Yeah.
They used to have stuff you can actually learn, like hospitality, for crying out loud.
Oh, wow.
When's the last time you heard someone take a hospitality class?
That's in high school?
Yeah.
Never.
And that's something we all need. We all need to know how to be presentable.
Yeah.
Because it's just like McDonald's selling you a burger. Everybody needs to present themselves the same way. Are you going to sell yourself as a $1 burger from McDonald's, or are you going to sell yourself as a lobster?
I'd much rather sell myself as a prime rib, but okay.
Yeah. I like prime rib.
Yeah, that's good stuff. Yeah. Prime rib, maybe have a lobster on the side, some baked potato.
There you go.
Yeah.
You're a 4-course meal.
Oh. Actually, I'd say with my body, I'm probably about a 50-course meal, but okay.
It's good to get a little loose, actually.
Oh, yeah. Oh.
When you're talking about this serious stuff, you gotta laugh or cry. I don't
yeah, honestly, you cry while you laugh while you cry. I don't know.
There you go. Hey, do both. Why not?
Yeah.
It's a free world.
Yeah, but these things really need to be taught to high schoolers before they graduate. They need to learn a little bit about home ec. They need to learn a little bit about how to present themselves. They need to learn how to answer a goddamn phone.
Yeah.
Oh, that pisses me off so fucking much.
That is a big thing. And one of the most important things that children, especially teenagers, need to learn is responsibility. And they're not taught home ec. They used to have, like, hey, let's pretend to have a bag of rice all week. This is a baby.
Yeah.
This is how you take care of a baby. Like, that is such an important concept they don't even understand. Because
Mm-hmm.
guess who's raising that baby? It's grandma.
Yeah, especially in the city. I mean, it's bad.
I mean, a lot of these kids, they have a baby on their hip at school.
Mm-hmm.
That shouldn't happen.
Yeah, I know. I mean, numbers has gone down considerably since at least my mom's age when she had me at 16. But yeah, it's just insane.
Yeah, and I have the same experience. My mom was 17 when she had my brother. You know, not as young for me and my sister, but
still, it's the same thing.
Same exact idea. She had, she has her GED, and many of the 50-year-old people in our lives, a lot of them never graduated.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm learning more as I'm getting older. A lot more people that I never realized never graduated. You might even say the majority of them.
Yeah, no. It's... Yeah. I mean, really, the whole thing comes down to we need to really revamp everything when it comes to education.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
And how do you deal with someone like that? Like, I met this great individual the other day. I've been working for the last 20 years, etc., etc. And he has to go back to college because he doesn't know anything.
Oh.
Wait, what?
Oh, I have a really good story then. My grandfather, he worked for a bank as a debt collector for over 20 years.
Right.
He would regularly collect debts of over $1 million.
Right,
and that's a lot.
You have to be good with numbers.
Yeah. Now, after 20 years, they tell him that he has to go get a degree or they're firing him. And guess what? They fired him.
Right.
For someone who honestly doesn't know what the fuck they're doing. Now, it's like, really, sometimes experience counts more than having a piece of paper.
Right. And I would love to just emphasize that because, first of all, if I get this piece of paper, you still need the experience.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah.
I don't know. It's just like, you need the experience anyways, because nobody's going to hire anybody without experience.
Yeah.
Isn't that the common motto?
Yeah, and here's...
Do you have experience?
Yeah, I know.
Nobody's going to hire me, so no, I don't have any experience.
And the worst part about this is like most people that are hiring want 5 years experience, a 10-year degree, and it's like, speak 10 different goddamn languages. It's like...
But do you like a croissant, too?
Oh, and you have to be a freaking gourmet chef.
Yeah, right.
It's like... really, it's like this is for an entry-level position for like $20,000 a year.
And I'm really good at cutting hair. Just saying, just putting it on my resume.
Yeah, it's just you need to be able to do 50,000 different things perfectly just to get an entry-level job.
Oh, and we're gonna pay you $7 an hour.
Wait, what? With me knowing how to do this stuff, I should be getting paid more than you.
People are crazy. Say what? What?
Yeah. I mean, this emphasis that everybody has to go to college. I'll admit,
it's a new agenda. It's definitely.
Yeah, it definitely is an agenda. I mean, college is, yes, it's a good thing. I will admit that, but we're putting too much emphasis on it. We really need to bring in more trade schools because honestly, we are about to lose a lot of plumbers. We're about to lose a lot of electricians. Most of the trades are about to frickin' retire.
You are 1,000% correct on that. I actually was just recently speaking to people about the same subject, and it's hilarious because it's like, who are our current real Americans? The Americans that truly built this country.
Mm-hmm.
Do we have any up-and-coming farmers? Not really.
Yeah.
Do we have trained mechanics? That's probably the only one you can give credit to. Is we have we're pretty good with the mechanics.
Yeah, car mechanics. Yeah, we're pretty good.
We're pretty good there. Plumbing, nope.
Yeah,
there are no plumbers. They're all in their 50s, ready to retire. They might have a son.
Yeah, they might. And here's the thing, the son might not want to go into freaking plumbing.
No.
Yeah.
I can tell you this, for working with my mom for the last 4 years or so, I don't want to go into her business. I'm glad that I helped her. She taught me about the business world, so many other things, but I don't want to carry it on.
Yeah. I mean... Yeah. I mean, we need to focus on trades and stuff like that, because not everybody is going to be a fucking CEO.
Not everybody's going to be a CEO, and it's extremely hard to run your own business.
Mm-hmm.
This is the one reason why I don't want to continue it. It's tough running your own business.
Yeah.
I'd rather just work with somebody.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, I love the idea of what my mom does, and I'm not going to get into it. I'm just going to keep that vague. But it's not something that I'm not about that. I'm about education. I'm about the future. I'm about, children's lives.
Yeah, you're following your own path.
Right.
Pretty much. Which is literally what anybody wants to do.
Everybody wants to do. But at the same time, you still need your workmen.
Yeah, you need, and here's the thing, a lot of people who go into those things really do enjoy what they do.
Yeah, a lot of people do.
Yeah.
That gets to that crazy mess we were just talking about. People who have multiple skills. Okay, so maybe I don't want to go into the work that my mom does, but I still have all those skills.
Yeah.
So we still need to train people skilled labor anyway. So even as a teacher, I could do other things. Maybe I can find myself useful somewhere else and be a teacher. So I don't have to run my mom's business, but I can still use those skills.
Mm-hmm.
Which is something that needs to be done. Like, how can we use these skills in other ways? How can we improvise these skills? And how can we make these skills better?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I completely agree with that. Wow.
Big thing for me is all this stuff we're doing, it seems to me like we don't want to improve, like a calculator.
Mm-hmm.
You're not allowed to use a calculator in a test.
Wait, what?
Well, this as an example.
Yeah, I know.
Like, it just leaves you going, wait, isn't that why we invented it?
Yeah, I know. And honestly, I've listened to a few teachers. It's like, I don't care if you use a calculator, because more than likely you're going to have your phone on you, because that has a calculator on it.
Right, so it's like, okay, if this is all to prepare me for the real world, if I don't know something, I'm going to look it up. I'm going to look up what happened at Gettysburg. I'm going to look up who is General Lee. I'm going to look up who's George Washington, because I don't know at the top of my head.
Yeah.
You're going to look it up. You're going to go to encyclopedia, worst case scenario, a real book,
Mm-hmm.
and you're going to find out. You're going to figure it out. Their whole premise is you need to memorize it. No, you don't need to memorize it. You need to understand the concepts and then move on.
Now, if it's something that you're getting into, go right ahead and memorize
Right,
that
now
stuff.
you need to know at the top because it might be important.
Yeah, I mean, the more important it is to your life, the more you need to memorize it.
Right.
And
a plumber would be a great example.
Yeah.
Like, if you need to do a spot weld, like a snap decision, then you better be quick and it better be right there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Military is another good example.
Mm-hmm.
These people need to be trained well and with precision, because the same idea, they need that same psychology.
Yeah.
If they have a split decision, I hope it's the right one.
Yeah.
Doctors, same thing. All of the above.
Yeah. It's just making sure you have relevant skills to your particular profession. And go ahead and memorize every single band from 1980 to 2007. But here's the thing. Is it relevant to being a sniper? No, it's not.
Maybe our DJ.
Well, yeah, you need to know that for a DJ. It's like, I'm not saying don't have interest. Go ahead, have as many interests as you want. But when it comes down to your skill set, you need to make sure you have, like, a good things that relate to your skill set.
And make sure whatever it is that you are interested in doesn't stop you or hinder you from what you're actually doing. You need to have we need to work people. You can't live off of, I don't know, drawing people for a living. Maybe you can. Good for you.
Yeah.
Not everybody. And then you have to define what is living for you.
Mm-hmm.
And are you okay with it?
Yeah. Wow. Well, with that, we just did about an hour and a half.
Yeah.
I think this is a good place to stop for right now.
This seems like a good place to stop.
Yeah,
Maybe
well-
we can continue another time.
Yeah, another time. Well, thanks for doing this, Scott.
Yeah.
Alright.
Well, that was a fun podcast with Scott. We exchanged a lot of great ideas, and honestly, I do respect him for doing this. To find this podcast, you can find us on Podbean, Google Play, iTunes, SoundCloud. Pretty much, if you find us, please subscribe if you want to hear more. Oh yeah, we're also on YouTube too, at Roaming Viking Podcast. To find me, you can find me at Roaming Viking on both Facebook and Twitter. You can also find me on Instagram at The Roaming Viking. Make sure you put THE in front of Roaming Viking, or you also won't be able to find me as well. Well, thank you. Until next time.